I would definitely not be as wealthy as I am today if I hadn't learned from other people's mistakes. In this video, I'm going to share with you some insights as to what people are making as a mistake and traps you should avoid if you're going out to wanting to be financially free. If you're interested, keep watching. Hey guys, my name is Ravi and welcome back to Personal Finance with Ravi Sharma. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because I talk about real estate, cryptocurrency, and financial freedom. Now, I saw an article that came out with this headline, Harsh Life Lessons Every 20-something Should Learn. And I thought,
hey, that seems pretty interesting. Let me go see what the article's about.
They go on to share a couple of really key lessons that most people should know about. I appropriated them, I took the article out and I said, look, instead of you having to read through some boring article, why not make it more interesting? And I can share with you not only what the life lessons are, but how we can appropriate that in Australia for yourself. So with that, let's dive in. Now, although this article is referring to 20-something-year-olds, I think it's just for anyone that's young. So anyone that's under 40, I consider young when it comes to building wealth. Now, if you're over 40, and we have some clients that are over 40 that we help out, doesn't mean you're old. It just means you're at a different phase of life, which means a lot of these strategies, a lot of these concepts we talk about may not really apply to you. We just need to apply them in a different way. So that's easy. We can tweak that stuff. And this video is going out to everyone that's under 40, and you might be over that, but you got kids. This is definitely one you want to watch. So the first lesson was the jobs that are super linear are often insanely competitive and crowded on the way up. The jobs that are dreamy but hard to get often involve extraordinary talent and dedication, along with a lengthy filtering process.
What the hell does that mean?
It essentially means that if you're going out there and picking up skills for a job that you think is pretty broad-based, it's, it could be an admin, it could be in a field that is quite entry level in terms of the skills that you're required to learn for that, then it means that it's extremely competitive to find a job. It is also a field that could be easily replaceable by someone else or AI. And this is something that's being spoken about every single day when it comes to AI and the impact it's going to have on many industries. This category is probably where it's going to get affected most. So if you're going in for a cruisy level job or something that, pays the bills and takes care of itself, that could be great to get into. And once you're there, it's very competitive. So increasing your income is going to be a lot more difficult because the employer knows that if you don't want the job, someone else does. So think of it like a pyramid. At the bottom level, you have the most amount of candidates that can do that job because they have a lot of those skills. As you continue moving higher, you've got the more dreamy type roles, which some people need talent for, and some are just really good in terms of their work ethic. And to get to that point, it's a lot harder, but when you get there, it's harder to find a replacement. So employers will go in and pay you overs, especially if you're going to move from a company to a competitor, they're going to pay you what you want. So when it comes to actually increasing your wealth over the long term, you ideally want to go and upskill from that bottom of the pyramid all the way up, because at the top is where you're going to make the highest amount of money, but it doesn't necessarily mean the highest level of happiness. So you've got to always take this with a grain of salt. Next up is, if you want to be rich, famous, or attempt something risky, be willing to fight tooth and nail for it before the age of 30. Don't wait. Be willing to starve and live way worse than most of your peers if necessary during the dip. Now, given that I'm 30 currently, I can definitely attest to this. I know that for myself and for my partner, we can spend hours and hours at work all day, every day, if we really wanted to, because our level of commitment to kids is zero. It's not active, right? Because we don't have kids. In addition to that, if you're out there and you've got kids, you've got multiple jobs, you need to factor in all of these things before making a financial decision. It really does hold you back. When you're going out there and say, looking at working at your job, you also need a balance in life. So you might go, well, I need to now consider 4 or 5 different people that I live with before making that decision. Versus if you're single, if you're in your 30s, you're probably willing to go above and beyond, eat some 2-minute noodles every single day, go out there and actually build your business or work on that side hustle. I'm sure a lot of people in your own life have come to you and said, look, start when you're early, because as you get older, your level of commitment also increases. If you do have aspirations that are really big, then you need to move fast. It goes the same for when you're building out a property portfolio. The earlier you start, the bigger benefit you get. Next lesson is that your friends and family do not always know what is best for you. I agree with this so much because I've seen it in my own life personally. Not only have I experienced it, but the closest people to me also experience this currently. Now, if you take a step back from just the finances, you realize that your friends and family love you.
Hopefully they care for you, because that's why they're your friends and family.
And that's why you keep connected to them. But their whole intention is that they want to keep you safe because they care about you. But what happens is that a lot of people get held back because of their own experiences. So for example, I've dealt with many people that are very fearful in making a move in property, but they'll never go and buy a property because because their parents may have lost money on a dud investment. Even worse, you could have friends around you that say, well, I don't really agree with that. I've got a different mindset. I want to go and do X, Y, and Z. And this is why you often hear you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Because if you hang out with people that all want to make $60,000 rent for their entire lives and, don't really care if they have to move at some point because they can't afford to live in that city, well, that's great if you also want that. But on the contrary, if you actually want to go and live in Sydney and actually want to be living near a beach and want to buy a $5 or $6 million house, those friends aren't going to really push you to getting to that point. And that's why you need to really align yourself with the right people in your circle. Now, the other part that really sticks out with this lesson is that you'll get advice from people that actually don't know what they're talking about. So, for instance, now I know for a fact that a couple of years ago, before I started the YouTube channel, I used to get a lot of advice from this uncle. Everyone has one of these uncles, and it might be an uncle, might be an auntie, might be a cousin, that think they're very successful, but they're actually not that successful. Anyways, so he came to me and he goes, oh, hey, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this when it comes to property investing. Now, at that point, I had bought a few properties, I was constantly learning, but then I went on to say, well, look, I'm always willing to learn. What exactly do you have? And he goes on to tell me that he actually only has a 1-bedroom apartment. And I was like, okay, and what else? I was like, well, that's it. Okay, so am I better off listening to you, or am I better off going and reading 3 or 4 different books from people that have gone out there, successfully done this, go and learn from people that are actually living the life I want to live? Wouldn't I get better results that way? And it's true. So you've got to put the emotions aside. You've got to focus on the logic, because at the end of the day, yes, friends and family do care for you, but it's not always the point of contact you need to have when it comes to getting the advice for things like property investing, as well as life in general, if they have no experience in that field at all. Next up is a very easy lesson, which is money is important. Let's not beat around the bush. Everyone talks about how money doesn't buy you happiness, Ravi. All you think about is money. Well, on the contrary, I think about a lot of other things because I don't have to worry about money, because I did make money a priority. I still make money a priority, but it just takes up a lot less room in my head because I know I've set up the systems, and the machine that I've built allows me to go and just make better decisions overall. So when it comes to money and how people say it's not important, it is so important that you get right and you prioritize this. If you can prioritize this for yourself when it comes to going out there working, or when it's out there for you to learn a new skill, it definitely needs to be a priority, because you don't want to end up going, hey, I'm going to do all this studying for like 10, 15 years, rack up all of these student loans, only to then get into an industry that makes you bare minimum wage. That's going to set you back significantly. And I don't care what you say, but financial stress is one of the worst stresses you're going to get in life. And I'm sure it causes a lot of marriages to break down. So it's one thing that you definitely need to prioritize. And once you get that part right, you just need to tweak it every single year and every time you enter a new phase of your life, and then you'll be set for the rest of your life. The last lesson was, change in life is ridiculously slow and gradual, often almost unnoticeable until you hit a snag. We often overestimate what we can do in a year, but underestimate what is possible in 2 to 3 years. And I really love this lesson, because the whole idea of going and building towards something, you're building a machine, wealth machine, or working on yourself in terms of personal development, it takes time. But what we think is, oh, we're going to go and build all this stuff in like 2 weeks or in 6 months, and then I'm going to end up doing X, Y, and Z after like 3 or 4 years. What we do is we overestimate what we can do in one short period of time, but we grossly underestimate what we can do in a longer time. So an example would be, hey, if I wanted to go out there and save $100,000, I'll go, oh, I can get to maybe 75,000 this year. Now, I'll probably only get to about 40,000 this year. But my longer term goal is, after 5 years, I want to have maybe 200K. I will definitely have a lot more than 200K in that longer period of time, because I've gone out there, invested that money, and the compounding effects work. But our minds work in a very weird way. So the main takeaway from this is that if you're going out there creating goals for yourself, don't be so harsh on yourself in the short term, but be extremely harsh in the long term, because chances are you're going to go out there and absolutely blitz it in your long-term goal, and in your short-term goal, you might be disappointed by the results you achieve, and it actually ends up throwing you completely off track. I know this holds a very dear place in my heart, because it's always happened to me. When I went out and started buying property, I was like, oh, okay, well, I could probably buy X amount in like 2 years, and in 10 years, oh, I might be on X amount. But what I realized is, in the short term, I didn't really achieve those things, but in the long term, I absolutely blitzed it by 2 or 3x. So something to consider as you're going out there and making some goals for yourself. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I know it's a bit different, off topic from the Australian real estate stuff, because hey, we talk about personal finance and mindset. So if you are interested in more content like this, definitely leave me a comment down below letting me know. And if you need help to move at speed when it comes to buying property in Australia, definitely go and check out this video. It breaks down exactly how we work in terms of a buyer's agency. And you can also go visit the website, which I'll link in the description below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.